Hello, everybody, and happy Macam Friday. I hope everybody's had a good day today, and hopefully that you guys continue on that good day into a good weekend. I hope you guys had a good week and all of that good stuff. So if you guys have been tuning in every Monday and Friday, I have been teaching chess and going over pretty much just the basics. That's what I've gotten to thus far. I went over the pieces, or we went over together. We went over the pieces, the board, as well as castling, CPR, and just a different some different stuff like that. Now today's lesson is pretty much going to be on openings and different drills and stuff like that. I'm going to go over a little bit of the basics again, just to make sure that you guys are still caught up in everything, but we're going to go ahead and just jump into that. If you guys have any questions, be sure to put them in the, comment them or whatever. And yeah, just thank you everybody for tuning in. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. Let's see here. Okay, so this is the first opening that we're going to go over. And this is somewhat similar to I'm pretty sure this was on the second episode where I showed you guys how to open up a chess game as well as follow through with it so that it's pretty much just an easy way to win the game of chess. If your opponent doesn't see it coming and if you know how to correctly execute it. And so this is pretty much very similar to that. And like I said, these are just openings, so I'm not going to go over the entire game, just the opening, and then you guys are free to make your own choices throughout the following the game after you use these openings. Also, if you guys were wondering what website this is, it is chess.com. If you guys would like to, you can send me a request or I guess a game you can say, and I'll definitely accept and we can play chess together if that's what you guys want to do. So yeah, like I said in the very, very beginning, and if you are familiar with chess, like you already know, white always moves first. So after your handshake, then white moves first. So that's what we're going to go ahead and start with. So, and remember right here, the pawns they move first, okay? And pawns are able to move one or two squares on their first move. After their first move, that's it. They are not able to move two squares ever again. So yeah, the pawn on D2 decided to move from D2 to D4. Then after white goes, it is now black's turn, and black decided to move its pawn on D7 to D5. Okay, so let me just go ahead and go back and show you guys this. And also, so I'm going to show you guys this from white's point of view as well as from black's point of view so that you guys can see how to open the game depending on which side you're on or which color you're playing, however you want to phrase it. So once again, on white, the pawn on D2, is going to move to D4, and then the black's pawn is going to move from D7 to D5. Okay, so then after that, white's pawn on C2 is going to move to C4. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the end. Yeah, this is the end of the opening for white. However, as you guys can see, this gives an opening for the bishop to come out. Okay, and okay, so let me show you guys this really quickly. If you guys notice, black's king is on a white square. Okay, so just keep that in mind as I show you guys this. I don't know why it won't let me move the pieces. Okay, but so white just went, right? White moved from C2 to C4. Now, with that being said, after black moves, I'm so upset because it's not letting me drag the pieces. But okay, so the queen right here on D1 can move all the way to A4. And then if you guys look, this is a direct line to the king. So that's it. The king is, at that point, the king is in checkmate. And also, if you guys remember, I'm pretty sure we went over this in the second episode or on Monday. Checkmate is when you have nowhere else to go. You can't move to the left, to the right, forward, backwards. That's it. You have nowhere to go. And because of this, as you guys can see, black has not established all of their pieces yet. And so because of that, there's only one space for the king to move, but the queen is still in direct line of attack right there. So that is checkmate. Now let me show you guys this one more time before I show you it in black's perspective. So once again, the pawn on D2 is going to move to D4. Then black's pawn on d7 is going to move to d5. Now, then white's pawn on c2 is going to move to c4. Now, as I said, the queen has once she moves from d1 to a4, she has a direct line or a direct way to attack the king. Okay. So let me go ahead and switch this, flip the board, start over. Okay. So I'm pretty sure. Oh, okay. Well, honestly, it doesn't really show you how black can defend this attack necessarily, but it does show just pretty much what it looks like on the black side. However, I actually said that wrong. This is not checkmate. It is check, but not checkmate. And let me tell you guys why. So checkmate, like I said, checkmate is when there are no more squares that you can go to. You can't run any of that. Now, when you are in check, you always want to check for CPR. And so once you check for CPR, which we went over again on Monday. CPR stands for capture, protect, and retreat, or run, however you guys want to remember it or want to say it. So when you're in check, you always want to check those 3 steps. Capture should always be first, protect is next, then run. You should always think of those pretty much in chronological order. And so because of that, the first thing is, okay, so let's say the queen. Once again, I can't move these pieces. I don't know why it won't let me move the pieces. Okay, well, you guys are just gonna have to follow along with me. And just remember that the name of the squares and everything like that, you guys should be pretty, you should be able to follow. So if the queen on, let me see, hold on. Did it just move? I don't know. I'm sorry. But okay, so okay, so let's say that the queen on D, what is that? D1. No, that's not D1. Hold on. Okay. Oh, yeah, it is because it's the white's queen. Duh. Okay. Sorry. So the queen on D1, right? Let's say that she moves from D1 to A4. Okay. So once again, that is correct. She does have a direct line of attack. However, based on CPR, capture, let's see, if the queen is right here, there is no way to capture her. She's too far from any of the power pieces and things like that. So now protect. Okay, so protect, we would be able to, with the queen sitting right here on A4, this pawn could move. See, yeah, I don't know why I can't move these pieces, but the pawn on B7 would be able to move to B5, thus making the queen in danger because the pawns attack diagonally, and so she's at risk of being taken by the pawn. Okay. Now, also, if you guys remember, pretty much on the first episode, we went over points. Now, the queen is worth 9 points and the pawn is worth 1. So, in my opinion, and just mathematically speaking, that isn't a good trade because that's still, your opponent is up 8 points. Okay. So, or not, however you want to look at it. But, so yeah, pretty much that you can just anytime that you're in check, make sure that you run through capture, protect, retreat. Okay, CPR, however you want to remember it. So yeah, that was the Queen's Gambit. That's what the name of this opening is called. Okay, and it's pretty much just called that because the Queen is the one that's making the making the pretty much the decisions and the moves and stuff like that. The one who is going to attack the king. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so I guess we're gonna go on to, oh, I didn't even realize I clicked this. Okay. Okay, so this is Roy. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I really hope I am, but Roy Lopez's opening. Okay. So once again, we're starting with white. The pawn on E2 is going to move to E4. Black's pawn on E7 is going to move to E5. Okay, then we're going to use the knight. Now remember, if you guys remember, the knights move in 7 or L shapes, okay? And so that means 2 squares up and then 1 to the left or right. Or depending on, how you're looking at it, 1 square, let's see. Well, 1 square up and then 2 to the left or right. It just depends on however you want to look at it. But just make sure that's always in a 7 or an L, and then it should be a total of 3 squares, okay? So white's knight moved from G1 all the way to F3. Okay. Now, if you guys can see, this doesn't really have anything to do, but I just want to show you guys again how knights move. So the knight is also attacking this pawn right here because of how they're able to move. Okay. Okay, so now the black's knight on B8 is going to come to C6. Okay. And so pretty much knights are pretty straightforward once you truly know how to use them. Like I said, 7 or an L shape, and then 3 squares total. So okay, there's that. Then the bishop, white's bishop on F1 is going to move to B5. Okay, now you guys might be like, well, why would it do that? But still, remember that the knight is not attacking the bishop because of how they move. Okay, in fact, this knight right here isn't attacking any of white's pieces, strictly because of how it moves. Okay, um, okay, let's see here. Okay, that's the end of the what's it called, demonstration, I guess. Okay, so if we're going to go ahead and study this pretty much, so okay, right here, actually I guess I can go through the pros and cons as well. So the pros are it leads to a very complex and multi-phased play. Okay, so pretty much these are, and I'll go back to the Queen's Gambit as well to go over the pros and cons of that. It tends to give white a long-term pressure, and white develops rapidly and castles quickly. And so also, if you guys remember, on Monday we went over castling, and pretty much castling is when you move your king over 2 squares and then move the rook over 2 squares as well. Now, if you guys remember the rules to castling, you are not able to castle if you've moved your king, if you've moved your rook, and you can also not castle out of check. Okay. So yeah. Now the cons are that some of the lines are very theoretical. Black has a huge number of defenses to choose from. Okay. I'm trying to see really fast. Like, okay. Sorry. Anyway, so black has a huge number of defenses to choose from, and sometimes black gets a chance to later attack the light squared bishop. Okay. So yeah, there's that. Now, let's see here. Let's go back to Queen's Gambit just to go over the pros and cons of this as well. Okay, so the pros are if it fights to conquer the center, and if you guys remember, controlling the center of the board is pretty much controlling the entire game. And like I said on Monday, at here at Macam, we like to control this. We compare life to chess, okay? And so if you're controlling the middle of your board in a more literal term, and when you're controlling the center of your life, you're controlling the outlook of your life as well. You're controlling the good, the bad, the all of that by controlling your center. Okay. Now it puts immediate pressure on black. That's another pro. And also, if you guys can see, the immediate pressure comes from the queen moving from C1 to A4. Okay, or not the queen. I mean the queen, but not C. I mean the queen moving from D1. Sorry, not C1. Okay. And then it also gains space. Now the cons, white may have to spend time getting the pawn back. Okay. And then less attacking chances on the black king. That is true. There is only one based on that attack, based on that the strategy, I guess, the opening. And then it says black may aim to counteract D4. Okay, so pretty much you just have to look at these things when you're using these openings, be wise about using them, and know how to actually use them. Okay, so now this one I'm not even going to try to pronounce. You guys can see it right here. Something about defense. I don't know how to pronounce that, and I'm not too sure if it's honestly English or not. But I mean, Sicilian, I guess. Maybe I guess it's not that hard. Sicilian. That's probably what it is too. Okay, so the Sicilian is one of the major answers to 1e4. Black takes control of the d4 square with the pawn from the side. Thus, he imbalances the position and avoids giving white a central target. Okay, so once again, e4 is in the middle of the board. It's right here. In fact, it's right there. In addition to all the other 3 that are included in the middle of the board. Once again, controlling the middle of the board is controlling the game. which obviously is a good thing because once you control the game, then you got the game in your hands pretty much. So let's go ahead and show you guys this, and then we'll go over the pros and cons after that. Okay, so the white's pawn on e2 moves from e2 to e4. And then black's pawn on c7 moves to c5. And then, oh, that's it. Okay, so as you guys can see, white is able to, at this point, move its bishop out as well as its queen. Oops, I didn't mean to scroll down. And then black is able to move its queen out. Now, if you guys see, let's see here. Okay, so let's look at the pros. Pros are it unbalances the game. It gives black good chances of attack, and it's a great opening when you need to play for a win. Now, okay, so this looks like it's more towards black. Did I just flip the board or not? That's crazy. My memory is terrible because I don't remember if I was looking at it like this already or if I was looking at it different. Meaning if I was looking at blacks. Anyway, so the cons are white has many ways to meet this Sicilian. And then cons are, another con is, and the main variations, white gets great attacking chances. And also, sorry, y'all, there is a lot of theory. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go over this one more time, just to look at it from black's point of view. Once again, white moves first, so white's pawn on e2 is going to move to e4. Once again, right in the middle of this the board. Then black's pawn on c7 is going to move to c5. And then, okay, that's the end. Once again, that's the end of the simulation, I guess. Sorry. But remember, it opens up the pawn, the queen. And also, as you guys remember, the knights can jump over pieces, so the knight is technically always open, I guess. But then for white, it opens up. Oh my goodness! Oh, I'm so sorry, God. I'm so sorry. But okay, then for white, it opens up a space for the bishop and the queen to come out as well. Okay. So now let's go into the French defense. Okay. Did I read it? Yeah, I did. Okay, because I remember I was tripping over the word. But okay, so the French defense. The French defense meets 1 e4 with 1 e6, preparing to counter the e4 pawn with 2 d5. Black blocks in their light squared bishop, but gains a solid pawn chain and counteracting possibilities. The French defense is named after a 1834 correspondence game between the cities of London and Paris in which the French defense was utilized. Now, 1834, I'm not too sure. I'm going to look it up right now because I was just going to say, when was chess invented? And I know that I was definitely told this before, but I don't really remember the answer. But okay, so chess was invented in the 6th century. So yeah, it's been around for a very, 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 very long time. And based on the pictures, it's evolved a little bit too. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But just saying 1834, it kind of got me wondering, like, wow, when was chess invented? But okay, so let's go ahead and just hide this really quickly so that we could, oh my gosh, I don't know why I keep yawning. I'm not even really tired like that. But okay, so I'm gonna close that just so that I can show you guys the simulation again. Or not again, because I haven't showed you guys, but still. Okay, so white goes first. The pawn on e2 moves to e4. Then black's pawn moves from e7 to e6. Now, as you guys can see, like I was saying, but just so that you guys can see it in action, because most people choose to move their pawn, 2 squares instead of 1, just because, you get further, I guess. I do it too personally, but I'm not too sure if there's really a true reasoning behind it. I just know that I like to, I like to get all of my pieces out there. Like I said, I'm more of an offensive player, rather than defensive. So yeah, but so black moved its pawn on e7 to e6. Okay, so next, okay, so that's it. And it's pretty much, wow, the French defense is pretty much like the Sicilian defense. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the pros as well as the cons. So the pros are, it's a sound structure. It has sharp counteracting possibilities, as well as it is an original type of game. Okay, So pretty much, I guess with it being original, not many people know about it, not many people use it, things like that. So now I'm giving you guys the gifts and allowing you guys to know so that you guys can use it. But okay, so then cons, black has a space disadvantage. Light squared bishop is locked in and it can become passive. So light squared bishop, okay. And so what that means pretty much, well, I don't really see how. Okay, so I guess it's saying it's locked in because if it moves from F1 to B5, there is, this is getting on my nerve. Oh my gosh. Okay, F1. Okay, so if it moves from F1 all the way right here to B5, as you guys can see, that would be attacking, but the pawn is right there, which is why it's, I guess, locked in. Okay. So yeah, this is really cool too because it shows you guys. Okay, so black, the chances of white winning using this opening is okay. So yeah, using this opening, it would be a 40% chance. Well, it's still up there too. With it being a draw, it's a 31% chance, and then black winning, it would be a 28.6% chance. Now, as you guys can see, this is more of an opening towards white. Now, black can still use it and win, but it's more likely for white to win if white uses it instead of black, or in comparison to black, I guess. Okay. Now we have the Caracan, I guess. I don't know. That sounds like, I don't know. I don't know. But okay, so the Caracan was named after Horatio Caro and Marcus Kahn, who analyzed it in 1886. Black supports the move d5 to challenge the e4 pawn while being ready to recapture. The Caro-Kann is considered to be a fairly solid, quiet opening. Okay, so I guess this is more like a subtle type one. Okay, so let me hide this again. And okay, we could just look at the what's that word called? Statistics. There we go. Statistics. Now, the chances of white winning is a 37.8%. Chance of draw is a 33.2, and then percent chance of black winning is a 28.9. Okay. So once again, more geared towards white, toward white rather than black. Okay. So the pawn on e2 is going to move to e4. Then black's pawn on e6 is going to, or sorry, on e7 is going to move to e6. Pretty sure that's it. Yeah, okay. So once again, this opens up the queen and the bishop. And this one opens up the queen. Okay. Now, personally, I can see why white has a better percent chance of winning simply because it has more access for its pieces. Now, like I said, me personally, I'm an offensive player, so I prefer to get all of my power pieces out as soon as possible. Well, not all of my power pieces. I get all of my power pieces except for one rook, and I castle. Okay, and then after that, I start kind of attacking and everything like that. And so, like that, it pretty much gives white the chance to get more of his power pieces out because of the positioning of the opening. Okay, so now let's look at the pros. Did I speak? I don't think so. Okay, so the pros are it's a sound pawn structure. It frees the light squared bishop, as you guys can see right here on F1, and then it's safe. And now the cons are it's less space for black, as you can see right here. It's only one piece that can move in that situation. It's slower development and it's a less complicated game. However, for beginners and things like that, I personally would recommend this because it is a less complicated game. Unless you guys are competitive or whatever, and you would prefer to have a more complicated game, then be my guest. But me personally, because okay, so I'm not going to say that chess is a difficult game because to me it's really not. But it takes a while for you to, I guess you can say, it takes a while for you to remember how all the pieces move and then, just how to tie them all together. Because like I said, when you play chess, it should be a strategic thing. You should think about the things that you do because, good chess players are always the ones who think maybe 2 to 3 steps ahead of their opponent, okay? So, like I said, though, with it being a less complicated game, it might be easier or more enjoyable even for someone who is new to chess rather than someone who has more experience. Okay, so now this is a drill. Now this is pretty much, it's just showing you guys, it's actually called the development drill. And it pretty much just shows you literally getting all of your pieces out for the most part and then castling. Okay, let me see, I can't go back, but as you guys can see, white has the bishop that was on C. Okay, so the bishop that was on C1 is now on B2. Okay, remember, keep the bishops on the same color. The bishop on F1 is now on D3 because, well, not because, but then also there has been a castle, I guess. I guess that would be the past tense. The white has castled. And so, like I said, I do recommend having at least 3 pawns, especially castling on the king side of the board. However, it does still have all of the power pieces to protect the king, as well as the queen. Now, in my opinion, I think the queen is the best piece to protect the king, simply because it is able to move any and everywhere that it wants to, uh, with, you know, in its reach, pretty much. The knight, however, the knight is the only piece that's able to move, to jump over pieces. Now that can, oh, this computer's about to die. Okay, this can kind of, dang, I lost my train of thought. It's a good thing because it can jump over pieces. However, it is, it's not as powerful or protective, even, you can say, as the queen, simply because the queen can move everywhere and the knight has strict regulations as far as where it can and cannot move. Okay, now, okay, so I'm gonna, before I go into like more, because as you guys can see, there's a few that we're gonna go over. I'm just gonna go ahead and backtrack and just show you guys once again. And I do remember that I didn't read this right here or the pros and cons for this opening, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So first, one of the fundamental variations of 1d4 is the Queen's Gambit. White immediately strikes at Black's central pawn from the side. Although the c4 pawn is not guarded, this is not a real gambit, since White can always get the pawn back if he wants. Okay, so let's see. White starts with the pawn on d2 moving to d4. Black decides to go with its pawn on d7 to d5. Then the pawn on c2 moves to c4. Okay. Now, the pros of this are it fights to conquer the center. Once again, center, controlling the center, control the board. Okay. It puts immediate pressure on black. And then also, I don't know why I'm so tired. I don't know. Today, and it's crazy because today hasn't even been like a long day, honestly, because I didn't have school. I mean, I was still doing stuff, but I didn't have school today, so I didn't have to really wake up early. I don't know, maybe my sleep schedule's messed up because I didn't wake up early, so I slept in. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So another pro is it gains space, okay? The cons are white may have to spend time getting the pawn back, and another con, sorry, is less attacking chances on the black king, as well as black may aim to counteract d4, okay? Now, the chances of white winning is 40%. Chance of black winning is 22. So, it wasn't intentional. I didn't really pay attention to the percent chance of winning until I was really looking at it again. But yeah, it's definitely geared toward white rather than to black. But I don't get upset, guys. I'm gonna show you guys, how to do openings and stuff. Well, that's why, duh. You can't open on black because white always goes first. Sorry, guys, I should have been through that. I don't know why it took me so long to realize that. But yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna go into, let's go ahead and start this over. Let me just check really quickly. It's on 18%. Where does it say? Okay. Okay, so then white, we're gonna start with the Roy Lopez's opening. I didn't read this one either. So also called the Spanish game, the Roy Lopez is one of the most popular openings in chess. White's three I'm pretty sure that stands for black bishop on 5. I'm pretty sure. B5, let me see. B5. Maybe not. Let me see. I have to remember notation because I haven't did notation in so long, like actually writing out, and that's why once again you guys want to know the names of the squares and things like that, because in notation you guys have to know that so that you guys won't be confused like me. But I'm pretty sure it is bishop, yeah, because each piece is abbreviated just so that you don't have to write out QUEEN, on the paper. Now, white's BB5 or okay, white's bishop on B5 move. White's move puts pressure on the knight, which is guarding the center, while developing rapidly. The opening is named after the 16th century Spanish priest Roy Lopez de Segura. Okay, now let's go ahead and show you guys that. The pawn on E2 is going to move from E2 to E4. That's the white pawn. Black pawn on E7 is going to move to E5. And then the knight on G1 is going to come out and move to F3. Knight on B8 is going to come out and move to C6. And then the bishop on B5. See, guys, I be knowing what I'm talking about. It just took me a minute. I had to remember. But the bishop, white's bishop on F1 is going to move to B5. And then, okay. So once again, we can go over the pros and the cons. So the pros are it leads to a very complex and multi-phase play. It tends to give white a long-term pressure, as well as white develops rapidly and castles quickly. Okay, so remember, and by developing pretty much means just developing all of its pieces, having all of the pieces go out and things like that. Like go out into the board instead of sitting in the background, things like that. Now, some cons are some lines are very theoretical. Black has a huge number of defenses to choose from, as well as sometimes Black gets a chance to later attack the light squared bishop. So right here, and then some of these ways could be simply the black pawn on A7 moving to A6, therefore threatening the bishop on B5. Okay, and just to really quickly go back over the basics, just so that you guys are following along, because like you guys can see, I'm not the one that's moving these pieces, and I'm not really, I don't know why, because I'm not allowed to move any of the other pieces. I did not mean to close that out. Let's open this up really, really fast just so I can show you guys. I'm just going to show you guys a full new board. And then we're just going to simply go over the board again and then how pieces move, just so that you guys are following along, because like I said, I'm not moving the pieces, so you guys aren't really seeing it directly, so you guys might be a little confused, and I definitely don't want you guys confused. So yeah, now pawns move 1 to 2 squares on their first turn. Once again, I don't know if you guys can see the circles, because I can, but you guys, it might be faint for you guys. But so the pawns move up and down, or not up and down, it moves up. It can it cannot move backwards. Okay, so it's gonna move. I'm just gonna go ahead, and this game isn't gonna be really strategically played. I'm just showing you guys how to move the pieces, and so the pawn on D2 is gonna come out from D2 to D4. Okay, once again, it's able to move 1 or 2 squares, and me personally, I like to move 2 squares. Now black's pawn, we're gonna move. Actually, no, we're gonna move the knight, because you've seen how the pawns move. Now, okay, so black's knight on B8 is gonna come out and move to C6. Okay. Now, if you guys are paying attention, let's go ahead and get the queen. Well, the bishop. We'll show you the bishop first. Now the bishop on C1 can move right here to F4. If you guys have been paying attention, you guys know how the knight moves. Now, because of how the knight moves, the knight is able to take the pawn on D4 by coming down 1, 2 squared, and then 1 to the right. Okay. But and I guess I could show you guys that just to show you guys how they attack. And I'm trying to get okay, we're gonna move this right here. Now, I'm just going to show you guys how pawns attack. Now, yes, pawns do move forward 1 square at a time. They move forward 1 or 2 squares at a time. This one, they attack diagonally, okay? They move forward but attack diagonally, okay? So, the pawn on E2 moved from E2 to E3, and now because of that, we are able to attack the knight on D4. Why can't I do it? Did black just go? I mean, did white just go? Oh yeah. Okay, so then we're gonna move this this pawn really fast, and then move right there. Okay. So I hope this is making sense to you guys. Now we went over the pawn, the bishop, the knights. Now we're gonna go over the rook. Well, yeah, we can go over the rook. So the rook moves up and down, side to side, horizontally as well as vertically. It's the only piece, or not the only piece, but it does not move backwards. I mean, it does move backwards. It doesn't move diagonally. Sorry about that. So yeah. Now let's see. The queen is the last piece that we didn't go over. Now the queen moves up and down, side to side, as well as diagonally. Can move any and every way on the board that it chooses. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I just want to show you guys that really fast, just so that you guys are up to speed and making sure that you understand, because I'm not able to physically move the pieces on the board. So I just wanted to go over them really quickly just to make sure that you guys are still following along and still understanding how the pieces move. Okay. So let's see, we went over these two. Now we're gonna go back to Sicilian defense. In a second, you guys, I'm gonna have to go get my charger for the computer. I completely forgot to bring it upstairs with me, but I'm not gonna leave right now, so just give me a second. But okay, so the Sicilian defense. Now, I guess I can read it again. The Sicilian is one of the major answers to 1e4. Black takes control of the d4 square with the pawn from the side. Thus, he imbalances the position and avoids giving white a central target. Okay, so let's go ahead and start this from the beginning. Now, I guess we can flip the board back as well. The pawn on white's pawn on e2 moves to e4. Then black's pawn on c7 moves to c5. And then, as you guys can see, it leaves the opening for the queen as well as the bishop. And then it leaves the opening for the queen on black's side. Okay. Now, the pros are it unbalances the game, it gives black good chances of attack, and it also is a great opening we need to play for a win. And the cons are white has many ways to meet the Sicilian. In the main variations, white gets great attacking chances, and also there is a lot of theory. Okay. So that was once again the Sicilian defense. Now we're going to go into the French defense. So we're going to start with white once again. And also remember, guys, just because I'm on the computer doesn't mean anything. When you guys are actually playing chess in person, make sure to begin and end each game with a handshake, okay? So now the white's pawn on e2 is going to move to e4, sorry. And once again, you cannot move any of your pieces until the pawns are all the way out of the way. The only piece that is able to jump over a piece is the knight, okay? And then too, that's kind of, I don't know, I have weird favorite pieces. Like my favorite pieces, well, not weird, but you know, different, I guess. Okay, you guys give me 1 second. I have to get the charger before the computer dies. So just give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, you guys, I'm so sorry about that. I'm back though. Just give me 2 seconds. Let me plug in the charger really fast, and then we will get right back to where we started. Let me, oops, wrong end. Let me see. Okay. Saved by the bell. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I was just barely starting off. So the pawn on e2 is going to move to e4. Then black's pawn on e7 is going to move to e6. Okay. And pretty much this opening just gives an opening to black's queen as well as their bishop, and then to white's queen as well as their bishop as well. Now, I don't know why it keeps doing that because nothing is moving. Okay, so the pros are it's a sound structure, or it has a sound structure, however you guys want to go about it. It's sharp counter. It has sharp counteracting possibilities, and it's an original type of game. And the cons are black has a space disadvantage. The light squared bishop is locked in, and it also can become passive. Okay. Now, if you guys are more of a offensive player, like I consider myself to be, then that's why that can be a con. Okay. Now, because of the way that the openings are, I want to go over, and I know that I've already went over this before, but I want to go over this really, really fast, just because it shows an opening, but it also shows the ending as well. Okay, so now White's pawn on e2 is going to move from e2 to e4, and this is also called the scholar's mate. Okay, so the pawn on e2 is going to move from e2 to e4. Black's pawn on e7 is going to move to e5. Okay, so once again, both of these pawns moved up 2 squares, and I know you guys can see that, but I'm just letting you know it's only on on their first move. After that, or once they're leaving home, let me say it in a more, I guess, in a better way. When they're leaving home, that's when they are able to move 2 squares. Okay, so then the bishop on f1 is going to move to c4. Okay, and like I said, this is similar to, yeah, the Queen's Gambit. Okay, so let me just show you guys this once again, just so that you guys can see. White moves its pawn on d1 to, on d2, from d2 to d4. Then black moves its pawn from d7 to d5, and so on and so forth. But it is very similar to the scholar's mate. Okay, so now that the bishop is out from f1 to c4, black is going to move its knight from b8 all the way to c6. Okay, now the queen is going to come, and she's going to move from d1 all the way to h5. Okay, then the knight is coming, and as you guys can see, the knight is directly threatening the queen because of how it moves. The knight can easily come and take it. Okay, but if it was black's turn, black just win. Now, let's see here. Okay, so after that, then the queen is going to come and take the pawn right in front, or right on f7. Okay, let me just go back. So the queen on h5 is going to come 3 squares over to f7 and take the pawn. Now, as you guys can see, the king is under attack. However, it's not just check, it's checkmate. Okay, and that's because if the king takes the queen right here, it can't do that because the bishop is right there. It can't move up because the queen, and once again, is able to move side to side. And then also the king can only move 1 square at a time. So, but even still, even if it could move up to e6, queens move diagonally. Okay. Now, let me just start this all the way over, and then I'm going to show you guys how to do this, or how to stop it. Sorry, but I'm going to show you guys how to stop it. Okay. So the pawn, or a pawn on e2, white's pawn on e2 is going to move from e2 to e4. Then black's pawn is going to move from e7 to e5. White's bishop on f1 is going to move to c4. Black's knight on b8 is going to move to c6. And then white's queen on d1 is going to move to h5. Okay. Now, if you guys are aware of this, or anything like that, then or if your opponent is trying to do this on you and you spot it quickly enough, then you guys can counteract the attack. Okay, and so one way to do this is, once again, just simply going through CPR. Capture, protect, retreat. Now, one way that you can protect your piece is simply moving this pawn up. Okay, so the pawn on g7, I move from g7 to g6, strictly because it is now attacking the queen. Okay, now yes, the queen can attack right here, but it would also be attacked by one of these pawns right here. Go back. Now, let's say that the queen decides to move. Well, it would have to move, okay? Unless they wanted their queen taken. So let's say we went here, The pawn went here, and now the king decided to come. I mean, not the king. I'm sorry. The bishop decided to attack the king right here. Okay. Now it moved from C4 all the way to F7. With that being said, yes, it's in check, but it can easily move from E8 to E7 and be out of check. Or it can, let me go back, or it can move from E8 to F7 and take the bishop, and then that's it. Okay, and like I said, I know that I already went over this, but I just wanted to show you guys, how it ties into the game of chess. And, I've been going over openings, but I wanted you guys to see a full game in full effect, okay? And this was pretty much just tying in to the Queen's Gambit, okay? And so, like I said, pretty much this entire day, we're just going to be going over openings and then just developing your pieces. So yeah, and this was called a Scholar's Mate. Okay, let me not go back over. Okay, so the Scholar's Mate, and like I said, it pretty much just ties into the Queen Gambit, which I will show you guys once again. Okay, and let's see here. So, why do they keep moving? But okay, let's skip all the way through. Okay, sorry, I was trying to make sure that it wasn't the one that I had just did, like the how to stop it, not, but I'm sorry. Anyways, I was trying to make sure that it wasn't showing how to stop it rather than just how to actually execute it fully. Now, this would be White's victory. So coming here, it would tie into the 40.4%. Okay. So let's go ahead and just show you guys this all the way. Now, White moves first. So the pawn on D2 is going to move to D4. Then Black's pawn on D5, D7 is going to move to D5. And then White's pawn on C2 is going to move from C2 to C4. Now, once again, this opens up room for your bishop as well as your queen on both sides, okay? Now, yeah. So now we're going to go into the Roy Lopez's opening. Or not but into Roy Lopez's opening. Okay. So now, once again, White moves first. So the pawn, oops, I mean to play it. Okay. The pawn on E2 is going to move to E4. Then from that, the black pawn on E7 is going to move to E5. Then the knight on G1 is going to move to F3. Then the knight on on B8 is going to move to C6. Okay. Then the bishop on where is that? F1 is going to move to B5. Now, this is not only just showing you guys an opening, but it also shows you guys how to develop your pieces. As you can see, each opponent has their bishop as well as their knight out. Okay. And me personally, I like to get all my pieces out because they're the most powerful and easiest to use, as well as it allows me to be able to castle my key. Okay. And then that was, I'm pretty sure, one of the pros. Yeah, White develops rapidly and castles quickly. Okay. So yeah, let me just go ahead and go over the pros and cons again. So the pros are it leads to a very complex and multi-phase play. It tends to give White a long-term pressure, and White develops rapidly and castles quickly. Okay. Now the cons are some lines are very theoretical. Black has a huge number of defenses to choose from, and sometimes Black gets a chance to later attack the light squared bishop. Okay. So now, sorry. This opening is, or this defense is called the Sicilian defense. Okay. So the pawn on E2 is going to move up to E4. Then the other pawn, or Black's pawn on C7, is going to move to C5. Oh, and that's it. Okay. So like I said, and most of these are pretty much just showing openings for the queen as well as the bishop. And also, guys, if you want to, feel free to, write whatever opening or defense or, what strategies you have in the comments. And then, we can have a conversation about it. Or, matter of fact, let me just see really quickly. I where do I? Oh, sorry. I was coming to see if anybody had any comments, and I don't see any right now. So we're just gonna go ahead and share the screen again. Let's see. Go ahead and share the screen once again, and go back here. Where was I at? The French, no, the Sicilian. Was I? I'm pretty sure I was on the Sicilian. Yeah. Okay. So pros of the Sicilian defense are it unbalances the game, it gives black good chances of attack, and it also is a great opening when you need to play for a win. Okay. So, and some people do play chess surprisingly not to win. Some people, or that's not their, I guess, final objective, or however you guys want to think about it. But, some people play chess to sharpen their skills. Some people play just to, study their opponents or, different things like that. But if you're looking to strictly win, that's a great opening. So the Sicilian defense is a great opening defense, however you guys want to think about it. And then the cons are white has many ways to meet the Sicilian. In the main variations, white gets great attacking chances, and it is also a lot of theory. Now, let me just look up Sicilian because I keep saying it and I don't really know. One, if I'm saying it right, two, where the word originates from, and things like that. So I'm going to read to you guys what it says. Okay, so Sicily is the largest Mediterranean island. So it is just off the quote unquote toe of Italy's quote unquote boot. Okay, so it pretty much comes from an Italian region which is called Sicily. So it's Sicilian. Okay. Now, let me see. We're just gonna look up where does the Sicilian defense come from? Okay. Now, I'm sorry, guys. This is like I don't know, interesting to me. So Sicilian. Okay, so the origin it came from someone named. Oof. This being Italian does not make it any better. It's um, Giulio, Caesar Polario. I don't know. I cannot speak. I don't know. But it was originated in 1594. So, like I said, chess, or like we looked up together, chess was invented in the 6th century. So, it's been around for a while. But once again, you guys, that was the Sicilian defense, and that one is actually more of an even, closer to being even chance. So, White's chance of winning is a 37.4% chance. A draw is a 29.7%, and then the chance of Black winning is a 33% chance. Now, the French defense. So, the French defense. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. Okay, so the French defense, it has a 40% chance of white winning, a 31.4% of a draw, and then a 28.6% of black winning. Now let's just show you guys this again. So the pawn on E2 is going to move to E4. Well, that's white's pawn, and then black's pawn on E7 is going to move to E6. Okay, and so like I said, most of these are pretty much just opening up for the queen and the bishop. Okay, let's see here. So the pros and cons. Pros are it has a sound structure, sharp counteracting of possibilities, and its original type of game. Once again, pretty much not many people know about these. But I realize that I'm starting to kind of be repetitive, so I'm just going to show you guys some other ones because I don't want to be too repetitive and kind of lose your guys' interest. So let's go ahead and go over some other ones. So we went over all of these. I guess we can dive deeper into the Sicilian defense, which is this one is the Sicilian defense closed. And y'all, I am so sorry because like I know that I talk fast, and I've also been told that I talk fast. I'm trying to work on it, but as you guys can hear, it's kind of, I don't know. I've been talking like this for a while now, so I'll be having to literally remind myself, like, slow down, talk a little bit slower. So sorry if I'm talking too fast for you guys. I'm gonna try to slow it down and remember to slow myself down. But the pawn on E2, white's pawn on E2 is going to move from E2 to E4. Black's pawn on c7 is going to move from c7 to c5. White's knight on b1 is going to move to c3, and then that's that. Okay, so let's read more into this. So the 2, and then N stands for knight, knight to c3. Of the closed Sicilian introduces a slower way of building up. Rather than breaking Black's grip on d4 with the quick d2 to d4, okay, White plays 2, the knight to c3, followed by, ooh, by Nanchitoing, I don't know, the king bishop, sometimes with the slow attack on the king side in mind. Okay. So the pros of this are it avoids the heavy theory of the open Sicilian, and it leads to a slower strategic type of play, undesirable for many Sicilian players. Okay. Now, cons, it allows Black to develop his pieces comfortably, and it gives Black a good plan of attack with b5. Okay, so let's see what's on b5. Well, this square right here. Okay, and so with that being said, that is in direct line of the bishop, and the bishop would be in direct line of attacking the king if the pawn on d7 is out of the way. And it also leaves Black with a good control of the d4 square. d4 is right here, and as you guys can see, it has the pawn right here on e4, and as well as the bishop, as well as the queen. You know, it does have a lot of backup. Okay. So let's go ahead and go back to openings. We're going to go over some more. Also, guys, once again, if I'm going too fast, or, you know, if you guys might have missed something that I've said or anything like that, you guys can definitely check out the YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure that the first video is up. The second video should be up fairly soon, and then this one should be following the second one. So yeah, just be sure to check out the Macam YouTube page or YouTube channel to check up or check out any of the anything that you might have missed, or for that matter, the art of storytelling, the podcast. You know, we have it all. So just make sure that you guys tune in and check it out. Okay. So the Scandinavian defense. Let's look at that one. Okay. So the Scandinavian defense, I'm going to read this first, then we can dive deeper into that. And honestly, this is probably going to be the last one because, as you guys know, we go from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So, yeah. So in the Scandinavian defense, Black meets 1 e4 by immediately putting the question to the e4 pawn, attacking it with 1 d5. This opening often leads to tricky, scrappy play by Black. So okay, let's look into that more, and then we'll go on to the pros and cons after I show you guys. So the pawn on e2 is going to move from e2 to e4. Then the Black's pawn on d7 is going to move from d7 to d5. And also remember, guys, when you are saying the names of the squares or anything like that, just be sure to always say the letter first and then the number, okay? So let's go ahead and get into the pros and the cons. Pros. So it's a provocative opening. And then another pro is Black opens the game immediately. And then as well as usually both usually both Black bishops have freedom. Sorry, that is a tongue twister. Okay, and so some cons are after the capture from EX to D5. Let me see what EX is. What would X stand for? Because I don't know. I see, guys. I'm telling you guys, my notation isn't the best. Black loses time recapturing. Okay, let me see. So D5, D5. Okay. Well, I guess that stands for the pawn. Black loses time recapturing, and then usually the white D pawn. So right here, right there, right there. We'll go to D4 afterwards, which is right here, right there, giving more central space. Because Black loses some time, he is in danger of a quick knockout. Okay, now with that being said, Black's chances of winning are definitely slimmer than White's chances. Black's chances are 27.6, and White's chances of winning is 43.5. Okay, now the chances of a draw is 28.9. So definitely this is more geared towards White. So yeah, but like I was saying, that was going to be our last display, I guess, or just what's the word that starts? It starts with a D. Display or I don't know, forget it. But that was gonna be our last one that I was gonna show you guys. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and just be sure to check out our YouTube channel if you guys missed anything that I said, or if you missed the first 2 episodes. Definitely go check that out on our YouTube page. Also be sure, oh, and I did not have the banner on, and y'all wasn't gonna tell anybody. It's too late now, but every day is going to be or not, sorry, not every day. Every Monday and Friday is going to be from 7 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and I will catch you guys on Monday. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and a good weekend, and I will see y'all Monday. Bye.